Hi, friends. This is Wendy Hergert, and welcome to the Say Yes to Yourself podcast. On the Say Yes to Yourself podcast, you'll hear stories from women just like us who are adding the practice of saying yes in their daily lives in big and small ways, and as a result, are experiencing the truth that everybody wins when you say yes to yourself. Saying yes to yourself is a graceful unfolding, an intentional becoming of the very best version of you. It is my hope that in these conversations, we are able to find our truth and be inspired and empowered to live our very best lives. I'm so excited to go on this journey with you, and I look forward to finding a bit of our own story in each other's. Hello, my lovely. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome back to the podcast. Today's guest is so fun, and it's such a beautiful thing for me when one conversation leads to an idea to talk to another person and have another conversation, and then that leads to the idea to talk to another person. And it's just this beautiful domino effect that is it's just such a wonder, and you have no idea what the next logical step is going to lead to until you do it, and then the next thing happens, and the next thing, and the next thing, and then all of a sudden you're a podcaster and you're meeting these phenomenal humans all over the world, and you just can't believe this is your life. So this is another one of those gorgeous examples of how everybody wins when we say yes to ourselves. So if you listened to my episode with Sylvie Mazerol, she mentioned this amazing woman that she met when she was pre-siting a space for a photography retreat that she's going to lead. And anyway, I loved hearing about Anna, and so I reached out to see if she would consider being on the podcast, and she responded to me in 30 seconds and booked the very next opening, which happened to be on the 4th of July, which is today, the time of this recording. So I came back from my outing on the coast so that I could be here for this conversation. And oh my gosh, I'm so glad I did. She is an amazing human. I cannot wait for you to hear this conversation. She's really cool. She's one of those women that should be 1,000 years old and 10 people based on her life experience. And I could get really caught up in conversation with women like that all day long, every day. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about her, and then I'm not going to keep you from this fun conversation. So Anna Hergert operates tide rollers and mud larkers in Parsboro, Nova Scotia. Her custom tour company has a focus on creating memorable experiences for most abilities while exploring the ocean floor in the Bay of Fundy, with the highest recorded tides in the world. Before she moved to Nova Scotia nearly 4 years ago, she spent her time as a landscape photographer, creating textile art, exhibiting her work, and teaching photography, as well as art and design to fiber artists. It took the pandemic and one beach to reignite a passion for adventure and her deep appreciation for nature. Delighted with the discovery of more than one beach, Anna set out exploring on a daily basis. Soon, she shared her nature discoveries with newcomers and visitors alike. Her commitment to ensuring a safe outcome with every event led to Outdoor Council of Canada Field Leader Instructor and Advanced Wilderness First Aid certifications. Safety first is a motto she observes with her tour groups and for herself. Backpacking trips during the shoulder season are her guilty pleasure. When she is not hiking guiding tours, sharing her knowledge about the highest tides in the world, or snowshoeing, Anna can be found at home playing with fabric, yarn, or cuddling her 4 Shih Tzus. She's so amazing. I am not going to make you wait another second. Please enjoy this fabulous conversation with Anna Hergert. Anna, I am so excited to meet you, to have this conversation. I'm so thrilled that you said yes. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Wendy. Really appreciate being asked. It's a wonderful surprise. It came through a mutual friend, Sylvie, and we connected in person just 2 weeks ago, and it was like we've known each other forever. And so then the surprise came when she said, "Oh, I promoted you," and I said, "Yeah, I've already heard from Wendy." So it was very exciting that the three of us, in a way, kind of collaborating. So yeah, so it's wonderful to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And I love, just like I told you before we hit record, I'm such a fan of meeting sisters that are a quick yes to the things that feel in alignment. And the experience that you had with Sylvie and that Sylvie had with you in this quote unquote meeting for a first time, yet you feel like there's such an obvious connection. And I experience that so often. It's such a gift. And I know my listeners do as well. So we are all speaking the same language, and really excited to get to know you in real time with my listeners as we hear your amazing story. But I would love to start with the question that I ask all my guests, and that is, how are you saying yes to yourself in this season?
In this season? Well, it's a very good question. I pondered it quite a bit after you asked it in your email, after you approached me. And one of the things was, how do I say yes? My thing is, I say yes most often. And what had just happened over the weekend was I, for the very first time ever, did a kayak course. I did the introduction to paddling, which is a small certificate, but nonetheless, it was taught by Paddle Canada. I saw it advertised on Facebook by someone who works close to me. It's only about 45-minute drive. So I put out the word to two of my friends and I said, "How would you like to do some paddling? Both of them have kayaks. I do not." And so they said, "We're in." So that afternoon, we took the last 3 spots in this course. And we ended up, it happened last Saturday. We had the absolute best day. The weather was perfect. Um, just really, really enjoyed it. It was my first time ever being in a kayak and the first time ever being on the ocean in a kayak. So that to me was a huge step. And I thought about your question, how do I say yes? This was one of the things that I did this year for myself that have nothing to do with the tours that I lead. This is just something that I wanted to do for myself, to give myself this gift of, oh, I'm going to try something new, just like some of my clients try something new that they've never done before. So yeah, so that's how I say yes. And I'm generally interested. I love change. So I'm always interested in something new. Now, I don't hike with ropes. I don't go down from a cliff with a rope supported by nobody. That's not my thing. I like safety, but I also like to try something different that I've never done before. So yeah, so that's me. And I can't say what else I'm going to say yes to next. I say yes a lot because a lot of my tours are impromptu. Some of the accommodation providers in town find out over breakfast, basically, that their guest has nothing planned. So they call me up or they text me, "Are you free this morning?" And I'm going, let me double check. And so quite often within 5 or 10 minutes, I'm at the breakfast table and giving a little bit of information. I'm not one who does a sales job. I have been in sales. I know when I'm being sold to and when I sell. I just have to lay out the information and they make up their own mind. And I would say 95% of the time, people jump at the opportunity to see the area, uh, to see some of the secret accesses to the Bay of Fundy that they would not find otherwise on their limited travel schedule. So that's sort of where I say yes a lot. So yeah.
Oh my goodness. I love that. I can see why Sylvie was so drawn to you and felt so connected once you met. And I'm really appreciative of the way that you articulate how that happens and the way that you practice how that happens. I have similar experiences every day as well. And I think that that ability to say yes to the opportunities that feel are in alignment for us comes from fostering this connection that we have with ourselves. That your yes is not, it doesn't sound to me like you are outsourcing some sort of direction and you're just saying yes to whatever comes your way because you're kind of floating aimlessly through your life and you're
No.
hoping that this will have the next answer. Right. It's you have established this connection between yourself and your next iteration of yourself, and how these opportunities that present themselves that feel like the logical next step make that yes something easy to follow through on and to accept and to check your calendar and make sure that you're actually available and then to see what happens.
Right. Yeah, that's true. And I used to say yes immediately. And then I learned that sometimes I need to just step back and take a moment, take a breath, and just say, let me check my calendar. And that just lets me tune in with what kind of stress would this put on my life? Because I'm so tired of spreading myself too thin. I've done it for so many years. I've run businesses. I was an artist, so I come from an art background. And when COVID hit and everything else happened, that teaching and the traveling stopped for me. And then through some other outside influences, we ended up here in Nova Scotia, and not in limbo. I just immediately fell in love with the area. All I needed to move here was one beach within my town. I have one beach, and I realized not just one beach. I have a beach 5 minutes this way. I have another beach 5 minutes that way. If I drive half an hour, there's so many wonderful places. I was very lucky to fall into that and have connect with some people that would show me around. And after that, I go, this is so undiscovered. There was hardly ever another soul on the beaches. And so when one of the accommodation providers was so worried about her guest going out while the tide is coming in, these are the highest tides in the world, she contacted me and panicked. And she said, well, you're out all the time. You need to help these people out. So I did. For the first year, I just did it for fun and for tips. And it helped me sort of find a way in. And now instead of creating art all the time in my studio, I generally I'm outside taking in the sunshine. I go out in the rain. I even go out in the snow in the wintertime, but it's not uh, what it was when I lived on the Canadian prairies where we had -40 Celsius for weeks
Ugh.
on end. Now I can go out, I can stay out as long as I want to. And usually I have all 4 seasons. If I go out in, let's say in December, I get anything from rain to snow to sunshine to rainbows to some fog. So I absolutely love this area because, again, that feeds into my sense of adventure and the need for change. So yeah, I'm not sure if that kind of got my story further advanced with what we were talking about. And then meeting people. I mean, you've articulated it so well that sometimes you just have that instant connection and you just know that you're able to communicate with that person. I have the same, I have to say, with some of my tour participants. Coming also from a teaching background, I am somewhat flexible and I can read people fairly well. And it also tells me what they need. And the tours I do are custom. They're strictly custom. Yes, I have a few things on my website that are laid out because Tourism Nova Scotia requires that if you're listed with them. But for the most part, I do connect with the person individually. For example, I just had somebody contact me and say, are we still on the calendar for the 15th of July? And I know this person has her birthday that day. So I'm already planning something special for that outing. She just wanted to go to one particular beach, and I can do that for her, but I'm also going to make it extra special. So it's not just what everybody else will experience. So,
Mm.
for that reason, I do think that brings me more feedback, more positive feedback, and not also that word of mouth brings people my way in the future. And that's all I want. I don't want to go out every day with clients necessarily, because that depletes my energy, because I do need to have downtime to myself to get my energy back. But on the whole, if somebody would like to explore this area, has never been, and doesn't want to step on the ocean floor and be surprised by the tide rushing in at one
Mm.
inch per minute,
Oh, wow.
then I will make the time to take them out, however short that is, however long that is. My tours, the time frame I had to, of course, provide somewhere around 3 hours. But if we go into 4 or 5 hours, my prices don't change. I'm there for the person 100%. So yeah, that's my focus, is the
I
other
love
person.
it. I love it. And it's so obvious that that is your focus. And what I really appreciate is that even in the way that you focus on your client, you are really mindful of what's also important to you. And there is a time, I think, when we as women feel like taking care of another person requires self abandonment.
Mhm.
And the way that you have either learned over time or you've just always been this way, but this beautiful balance of caring for yourself in support of how you care for your clients. And that's so much about what this podcast is about, of this relearning or
Mhm.
unlearning of this idea that when we say yes to ourselves, everybody else wins, because we are equipped, we are restored, we are refreshed, we are filled up. We give from our saucer, not from our cup. And when the saucer is empty, we fill our cup again till it overflows. And then we are not running on fumes. We are not mad
Mhm.
because we are depleted. And the last thing we want to hear when we're depleted is that we've done that to ourselves,
Yeah.
because just kick me while I'm down, please.
Yeah.
But it is true. And it's when we are in this restored, refreshed feeling and experience that that is where the clarity comes. That is where we can see, oh, I would like to make a shift. I would like to do this differently. And there's so much beauty in watching another woman model that, so that we can aspire to. I mean, you can only reach for the lowest branch you can see, and so
Yeah.
having these connections, meeting new people in the same way that you meet clients, the same way that I'm introducing my listeners to all of these fabulous women through the podcast, is that we are learning how another woman is doing it and seeing how we can implement those practices in our own lives. Have you always been adventurous? Is this something new that happened when you moved to this new area? Or how has this played out through your life? Because you are up to pretty adventurous things.
I've done a few things. Yeah. When, there used to be that statistic going around that everybody has at least 7 career changes. I
Mm.
have exceeded that. I won't bore you with all the details. Um, was I always adventuresome? I would think so. I would not have described myself as such, because I was extremely shy when I came to Canada. I would not answer the telephone. I was worried about my language skills. And so I came from Germany in 1979. And I have a very understanding husband, a very supportive husband. And sometimes I think he wishes he hadn't pushed me quite so hard to become independent and be assertive. He doesn't say it, but I sometimes can tell that that was not a good idea. But he supports me in every way possible. Um, I he's just he was very patient with me to start with, and then whatever I tackled, he was not too adverse. When I wanted to open up a yarn shop, he was right behind me, working full time and then working weekends in the yarn shop. He's a weaver himself, so it just made sense, and it was kind of right up his alley. So yeah, that was a few years ago, and then he supported me when I decided I wanted to train properly as an artist, so I did that. Um, and I guess because I like change, so I'm moving from one to the next. Now, when I moved to this area, I had no idea I would do this, none whatsoever. I just thought I'll be setting up my little studio. I'll just be fondling fabric and dyeing some fabric for my next project. That lasted about a year. And then I was out more than I was in.
Mm.
And then I fell into this opportunity to train as a field leader, get all my certifications, and I just thought, okay, well, no use doing this without doing it properly. So I established insurance and everything. So I'm a proper business and listed with Tourism Nova Scotia, and they have been fantastic, just sending me opportunities that I can apply for, that I might qualify for. So I feel I've had amazing support. When I was an artist and trying to apply for grants, it was sort of, I always felt I was taking that money away from other people who needed it more. I felt guilty.
Mm.
And so I didn't apply for a lot of grants. I had a few, but I never felt 100% justified to get these grants. So doing this now, it's a validation for me. And I've kind of feel like I've really reached a point in my life where I'm happy with what I'm doing. I've never been more grounded living in Canada,
Mm.
and I've lived in 3 different provinces before here. This is the one place where I really feel like I belong.
Mm.
And so I love the small town. I do get good support here, and I do what I can to volunteer. So it's, during the winter time when things are slower for me, every Wednesday afternoon, I guide a longer hike for people that live here, and that's free. That's absolutely free. And it was I introduced it to 2 winters ago, and then this last winter, it was so popular. I had up to 15 people come out, which is way bigger than what I like, but it was okay because everybody was very mindful and respectful and also appreciative, which is I if I see that people are happy and that they appreciate that, that's all I want. I
Mhm.
don't need anything else. And then that gives me a reason to continue again next year. So I usually run that from January through for sure March. This year I extended it into April. So
That's such a brilliant idea because it is allowing you to build community in this new place at
right.
a much quicker rate, doing something that you love. So you're drawing like-minded
Mhm.
people to you. And you're also, it's brilliant business building because as they entertain guests, as they continue to talk to people, as they share what they're doing during the week. It's such a beautiful, authentic, easy way to spread the word about what you're doing. It's so beautiful when those yeses are aligned and all the cooperative components just come together and you attract this beautiful result that gets to be easy, it gets to be enjoyable. Of course,
Mhm.
you put intention into it and you safeguard your time and you checked all the boxes of what you need to do it in a responsible way and all of those beautiful things. But it also feels like, sounds like it's coming around in some ways that are expected because
Mhm.
you did the work and 2 plus 2 equals 4. And it's also having this beautiful, up-leveled, abundant return on your investment of time because of your openness and because of your awareness to receive more than the number of people that you thought, or
Yes.
more than the number of accommodation providers, and it just continues to grow. That's
Right.
so beautiful.
Yeah. What I was trying to do there is sort of establish a trust relationship, because some people say, well, what does she know? She's not from here. And what does she know about the tides? She comes from the mountains. She comes from Alberta and from Saskatchewan, where there is no ocean. Yeah, so I I had to kind of prove myself that I do know what I'm talking about. And I mean, I learned the hard way. I got cut off by the tide the first 3 weeks I lived here. And I realized in order to go out onto the ocean or onto the ocean floor, you really have to know what you're doing. And whenever I do a tour of a particular area, it's not the first time that I'm there. One of the most popular ocean floor tours that I do is called Soley Cove, and we call it the Jurassic coastline. It's all red sandstone. It's kind of Arizona meets
Mm,
the ocean. We have
wow.
both. And I loved Arizona when I've been there. So for me, this always takes me back to Arizona. But now I have the best of two worlds, because now I've got the ocean on the other side of me. And people always say, oh, did you know this beach so well? And I do know where the pinch points are, where I would get cut off if I'm not careful. But I also always keep my eye on the time. I never just let it go. I have complete situational awareness. My clients don't know that. And I do call it when I know that they cannot make it to the destination that they had in mind. I will relay the time constraints. I will also point out when the tide changes, because we have no such thing as slack tide. Our tide
Mm.
goes out and immediately comes back in. And I've got a couple of special experiences for people so they can really witness that. And so it's when I did it, I went about half a dozen times with a friend, and he really, we just walked and I just observed and I just took it all in. So I know every sea cave, I know every corner, I know all the sea stacks and all the different flower pots along there. But uh, after I had spent the time with him, I decided, okay, it's fine to rely on him. I need to rely on myself. So I went
Mm.
out a good half a dozen times for myself without any distractions, just timed it right, took notes. Really, I took a lot of pictures because I also have a photography background. And after that, I took some friends out again, roughly about 6 times, maybe more, just taking them out just so I know how one can get distracted, lose track of time, but still keep an eye on and keep the people safe that you're going with. And that really provided me with the confidence and the knowledge. It's not so much the confidence, it's more the knowledge and trusting myself that I can take people out and I can keep them really safe. Because the whole hike along that beach, it's not a difficult hike, but it is roughly about, if we do the entire distance, it's about 8 miles.
Mhm.
So, you have to have people that are fit enough to do it. You have to set up a certain pace. But then I also get people that say, can I just see part of it? And absolutely. I take you as far as you feel comfortable. Always remember where your car is parked and that you have to be able to get back, because I cannot possibly carry you. So that it again is that custom touch that comes into my leading these tours. I keep my groups very small. I take anywhere from 1 to 4 people comfortably. If it's a family grouping and they have like children in there or parents, I go up to 6, but I don't take more than 6 people on my tours. So that provides me with being able to connect with every single person individually, observe them carefully for any changes, if they get tired, if they are losing interest, that sort of thing. So it's very important to me that they have a top-notch experience. I used to take a lot of tours when I traveled in Europe and into the US. And I took everything good from those tours, and I'm trying to use them in my approach as well. So it's sort of, some people say, oh, you're a natural. Well, I did observe a lot, and it's not so, and I just took a lot of notes mentally and physically, trying to bring them in. And each time I go out, I learn another thing. I learn something new.
Oh my
So it never
gosh.
stops.
I'm obsessed and I'm can't wait to go on one of your trips. I'm really excited now. I, of course, wanted to visit Sylvie anyway, but now I really, really want to go up there. This sounds amazing. And I just love everything that you said about the care, the concern. I appreciate how you've shared all of those details because, I, as you mentioned, and as my listeners know, I also lead trips. And
Hmm.
there's at some point where it's like you want people to understand that I'm not doing this because I just had fun in Paris once and I want to do this. And it's the same with my wedding planning career. I did that for 30 years. I didn't just, plan my own wedding and decide I like that. And now I'm calling myself a wedding planner, and that happens. And that's sometimes how people start their careers. But
Yeah.
comparing that lovely young bride to the experience that I bring after all of these weddings, because of course, like you, I learn something every single time. And, bringing that into how I do my trips,
Hmm.
I'm I treat the women that are going on my trips to France like they're my bride. And I'm pulling vendors together just like I did for weddings to create this beautiful, dreamy experience for my client. And I just appreciate that you took the time to share all of the many steps and that you allowed yourself to share that because it's meaningful to me because sometimes I think like I don't want to bore people with
Hmm.
how overqualified I am to take you on this trip to France because I
Right.
know what I'm doing. And it's also good to remind yourself. It's a great reminder to me I am well qualified to do this, and I'm delighted to do this. I am motivated by love and appreciation for the opportunity,
Hmm.
and I am standing on the shoulders of all of the experience that I have that led me to this place. I think so many of my listeners are in a season of transition, which I feel like we all are as women
Yeah.
anyway. We're constantly evolving. Let's hope. Definitely
Hmm.
everyone listening to this podcast is constantly evolving. And sometimes when we're doing something new to us, we can feel like we don't know what we're doing or we're freshmen again or something. And just to remind ourselves collectively, and which I feel your story does, is that this situation is new to me. This new business venture I'm going to embark on is new to me. I am not new. I am
No.
like, I'm 56 years old. I'm bringing my experience, I'm bringing my learnings into this new thing. I don't need to act like I don't know what I'm doing. I
Hmm.
do. I'm 100% building the engine while I'm flying the plane.
Hmm.
I know I did not wait until I figured out how to do it before I started, but I am also giving myself the grace to course correct and the acknowledgement that I know things and I bring value and you're doing that so beautifully as well and I just really want to reflect that back to you but also let you know how much I appreciate the way that you're doing this.
So do you not find too that the joy that you derive from providing these experiences to people, that feeds you? It feeds me.
100%.
Yeah, it's the joy that I'm going for. And I mean, when people get emotional, it's not that I push them to get emotional or anything, but every once in a while I get somebody that gets absolutely emotional. And there have been tears that I was worried that they were hurt or something. And no, it was the experience and having given them the opportunity to explore an area they would have never gone to by themselves or discovered by themselves. To me, that's the best tip, the best payment. It's the best
Right?
of all the different things that I've done. And if I had a rough day, that takes away the rough day. It gives me everything that, okay, this is why I'm doing it. That
Right?
was just my affirmation, that I'm on the right track.
Yes, 100%. I love when women that have either come to do a farm stay at the bed and breakfast or gone on one of these trips or come to a
Mm,
field dinner, whatever it is, that they say, I had no idea how much I needed this. And that there's just this, I love holding space for women that are holding space for themselves. And similarly, what you're doing is you're creating and providing this buffer of, I've got my eyes on the tide. I've got my eyes on the clock. I've got my eyes on you. So all you have to do, client, is be present, is just be in this moment. And there's such an exhale in that experience
yeah.
that that's where the emotion comes from. It's like, I had no idea I was holding my breath
Mhm.
until I
Mhm.
exhaled. And it's just, it's so beautiful. And I feel exactly the same way as you do when they experience that, when they have that physical reaction to, I'm I'm present. And I am present because you created a container for me to do that in safety. There's nothing better than that.
Yes. Yeah, I so agree. I don't think I could have said it any better than you. It's
Mm,
just so, and that's how we connect with like-minded people, like
right.
you, like Sylvie, like, yeah, those are precious people to know and precious people to keep in your circle. And yeah, and to bounce ideas off and just to connect. And Sylvie and I, who knew, we're planning a retreat together. So she's
Yay.
doing the photography retreat part. I will be taking people to see the special places to photograph. I've done a fair amount of contemplative photography, sometimes
Mm.
called miksang, Miksang, which is a Tibetan word and means the good eye. So you respond, it's more like a
Mm.
meditative approach to
Oh,
photography. So you follow your flash of perception, all those flash words. I trained as an instructor for the first two levels and taught that a fair amount, even on Zoom during the pandemic. Um, it's more of you learn the basics and then you just practice, 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 and soon you it's part of you. It's like meditating. Once you practice it over and over, you can go into that zone instantly. So
yes.
this is very much the same kind of thing when I do my photography. I just do it now. I don't think about it. I follow that flash of perception. And I know uh, Sylvie was interested in finding out more about it. So we're probably going to incorporate some of those concepts into
Mm.
the retreat, which I think would benefit anybody. When I used to teach my fiber art classes, I always did a component on that type of photography because you don't have to be a photographer. You don't need to know the settings. It's very much being in that moment and just recognizing what has caught your attention at that particular moment. Don't overthink it. Don't start to analyze it. Just accept. And so, yeah, Sylvie was quite receptive to that idea. So we've just started to talk about dates and it sometime in October. So very excited about this prospect. And that's when my tour season kind of winds down anyway. So it'll be a good thing to do when things are a little bit slower.
Oh, that sounds amazing. And you are one of those fascinating humans that should be 1,000 years old and
Oh,
10 people for all the things that you do and have done. And it's just, it's amazing. I love meeting people like you. It's
great.
so
Well, I love meeting
empowering.
you. And so hopefully one day we can meet in person. I'd
Oh,
love to take you
yes.
around. I want to show you everything. So
Yes,
yeah.
I want to see everything. I will
Good.
be checking my calendar as soon as
Great.
we're done. I have two speeds. They are right now or not at all. So
Right,
I
right.
have to
Same
look at
here.
the calendar and get it on there, or else I'll hear this podcast when it airs and think, oh, yeah, right. I forgot. I was supposed to book a trip. That's so amazing. I love that. Now, Sylvie also mentioned another, I don't know if it's another certification that you got or something that you did, but was this epic hike that you
Oh,
did by yourself. Can you share that? Because
sure.
you're amazing.
Oh, well, I don't know about that. It was
I do.
I set myself some goals. One of my biggest things is I want to stay fit for as long as possible. My husband has some serious health issues, so if I'm not well and he's not well, we might as well just forget about the whole thing.
Right.
And the old folks home is not an option for me, at least, and I know for him either. So I am his primary caregiver, and he knows that I do need my outside time, and so is very, very good with that. Anyway, so last year in January, so that was 2023, I woke up one morning and I thought, I have to hike Cape Chignecto. Cape Chignecto is considered a difficult hike. So, what does difficult mean? Well, I had done portions of it with, again, my hiking friend, Brian, and he was very good. He helped me grow my distance hiking legs, and so I texted him and I said, I think I have to hike Cape Chignecto. I dreamt about it last night. And he said, yeah, you're up to it. When would you like to do it? So, there's a man who's like we are.
Yep.
So
Two speeds.
yeah, exactly. So I said, okay, well, I said, let me look. And so I gave him some options. We hiked the entire loop, which is 53 kilometers. What's that? About 38 miles.
Okay.
And I had, oh, this is the important thing. 38 miles doesn't sound like a lot, but I've never, ever, ever backpacked in my life before, ever. And so now I had to go and get a backpack. I had to get all my equipment. I had to get my tent. I had to get my sleeping system. I had to make sure that I had my food. I had to have my stove. All the details. I had to arrange everything.
Oh my
You have to
gosh.
carry water for a certain amount of time and distance. And so I thought, well, this looks funny when I go with a man. So I asked my girlfriend to come along, and I asked because I knew she would be up to it. Her husband was traveling in Australia, and so she said, yeah, sure, I'll come with you guys. So we set out together. We had planned 3 nights, 4 days. We got a late start in the morning on the Friday because there was a lot of rain preceding our hike. And then we
Mhm.
set out about 11 o'clock in the morning. And first day was great. It was 10 miles roughly, and carrying 36 pounds. I was carrying
Wow.
36 pounds. My friend Brian, who's very experienced, was down to about 18 pounds. So of course he had these fast legs, and I felt like I was holding him back greatly. He never
Mhm.
complained, so I give him that. My girlfriend is also a very experienced backpacker, and she has hiked in the Rockies. She's hiked all over the globe, South America, Sweden, you name it. She's pretty much been everywhere. So I'm this newbie and I'm going, oh my God. So first day was fine. I remember the moment I took off my backpack when we got to camp. I felt like I was a feather.
Right?
I was 3 feet off the ground and I went, oh, this is so good. Anyway, so the first night, of course, I did not have the right equipment. I froze all night. I did not sleep.
Mm.
And it went down to -5 Celsius. We had frost around the leaves of the bushes that were just sprouting. So we start the next morning out, and of course, I'm one of three. I can't not keep up. So I kept up fairly well till noon. And then a really difficult section started that I had never scaled before. And
Mm.
so that included going over a raging river, balancing over driftwood. And it was like what I'm describing. I had to take my heart and throw it across to the other side and follow it. And it was a descent down to the river that was very steep. And then you looked around and where's the path on the other side? Well, the other side was like this with little steps sort of kicked uh into the mud. And yeah, so
A
in
ladder, a
yeah,
ladder for
no that. Yeah,
listeners. She's making her hand looks like a stop sign. And
exactly.
then
And I'm
there's a
going,
ladder up the top of her hand.
so I'm like, oh God, I'm here. Well, I can't turn around now because we were not quite halfway for the loop, but there was no way out.
Mm-hmm.
So I just sucked it up and I went across. I was fine. I didn't slip. I was fine. I had coaching from both my friends. I made it across. And so we proceeded. And so long story short, we finished on Monday morning. So started Friday, finished Monday morning. And his wife was expecting us. And she said, I wish I could do this. She has some health issues. And she said, but I can't. So I really need to know, how was it? And she looks at me. And I said to her, I said, you've had a child. I said, it's kind of like childbirth. It's really hard, but you forget about it really, really fast. I
Mm.
said natural childbirth. And so she
Mm-hmm.
looked at me. She's a retired nurse. And I'm like, okay, well, I might have shocked her a little bit, but I really didn't care. And so I thought, okay, I'm done. I've done this once. Good enough for me. Never again. Well, never say never. And so January came around and my girlfriend and I started talking and let's do it together, but let's take our time. Let's make it 5 days.
Mm.
Sure, sounds good to me. Then her husband decided that he's going to join us. And then that was still okay. But then they kept changing the dates on me. And I just couldn't um I I'm the kind of person, when I make up my mind, and I think you relate to that, then
Mm-hmm.
I have a certain idea, I need the time frame, and I plan for it. So the weather looked absolutely spectacular at the end of April this year. And so she said to me, well, shall we do it earlier? And I said, absolutely, I'm in, let's do it. And then she comes back to me and she said, well, my husband has a volunteer uh, uh, commitment for the Saturday, so we can't leave till Sunday. And we were going to leave Friday morning. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
well, I said, that's too bad because I need to be back for Wednesday when I have my volunteer commitment. She goes, well, you just have to find somebody then. And I'm thinking, why do I have to find somebody and your husband doesn't have to find somebody? Something's not quite right with this picture. And I slept on it. I didn't want to be jumping the gun and be nasty about it. So I went and looked at my calendar again and saw that the weather was changing by Wednesday.
Mm.
And quite often that means it's not accurate that it'll be actually earlier that it changes. So I texted her and I said, thank you very much for considering taking me along. I will be going on my own. I will tackle this solo, and I'm set. I'm mentally prepared. I'm
Mhm.
physically prepared. I will do it at my speed, and I'm fine. She texted me back. She said, "I would feel much better if you went with us because you're not experienced enough." And that, you know how that is. That's another one of
Mhm.
those. I'm gonna
I'll
show you.
show you.
Right. And I thought, what's the worst thing that can happen? I turn around, call my husband, and he will pick me up. So he dropped me off Friday morning. I started out. I hiked that day, I hiked 22 kilometers, which is more like 15 miles,
Wow.
somewhere around there.
How much did your pack weigh on the
30
second trip?
pounds this year.
Good
I
job.
dropped 6 pounds. Yeah.
That's
Yeah. I did
amazing.
what I could. Yes.
Mhm.
I still can whittle it down to a bit less. So yeah, so I got to a beach and I camped at the beach all day. The sun had warmed the sand, and it was within a driftwood shelter that I set up. I was toasty warm. It was beautiful. I had an eighth of an inch of frost on my tent when I woke up the next morning because it went down to -10.
Wow.
I did not feel it. I had the best sleep. I was rested. It was wonderful. I got out of the tent. I heard some wildlife stirring, and it was a little bunny. So it was the only up close wildlife I really saw. There were no bears. There was three other squirrels and the birds overhead. That's all I witnessed. So it's
Mm.
fantastic. And so I got myself situated, I had breakfast, and I prepared, I packed everything methodically. I didn't feel rushed at all. I was on the trail at
Mm.
8:15, and it was a good thing that I had hiked as far as I did the day before, because now the difficult part happened again, like on the second day the year before. And I realized why I didn't have good memories of the hike.
Oh.
That second day, I had pretty much blocked out everything due to lack of sleep,
Mhm,
exhaustion,
mhm,
not drinking enough because I
mhm.
was worried about filtering water and how far will I get because I didn't know the trail. So I
Right.
didn't drink enough. And so I hiked and I'm going, I don't remember this. Oh, this is beautiful. I don't remember that. I took
Wow.
it all in, and this year was the meditation. It was
Mm,
thoughts came into my mind and thoughts left.
mm.
And I thought, oh, that's a fantastic idea. I have to write that down when I come off the trail or tonight in my notebook. I never did any of that. I was in the moment and I
Mm.
continued on and I hiked 12 hours with about a half
Wow.
hour break in between, set up tent. It was a chilly night because I was in the forest this time. But then I hiked, and so I did almost 20 kilometers. What's that? About 14 miles, somewhere around there. And the next day, I had the last 15 kilometers to come out, which, not quite 10 miles. And I came out, came off the trailhead 15 minutes later than what I had estimated.
Wow.
So I came up, I was tired, I'm not going to lie. The last kilometer was the longest kilometer of my life. And I kept going, oh, are we there yet? Are we there yet? But I came off the trail. My husband was waiting for me. I felt accomplished. And I was tired. I looked tired. I had big bags under my eyes. But I had saved myself water and I had made some electrolyte gummies that I'd also saved. And so by the time I came home, 45 minutes later, I felt really good. I slept
Mm.
extremely well. And it was like I said, I did the full loop of 53 kilometers. And there are very steep inclines and declines. And it is within the hiking community, it's considered one of the most difficult hikes in Nova Scotia.
Wow.
I'm already planning next year's. And I'm doing it
You,
solo again because it was such an amazing experience.
oh
It's
my
fantastic.
gosh. You're
Yeah.
amazing. So I know that I am asking this question out of immense celebration. And I am asking this question because I think the information, the answer really is inspiring and more than levels the playing field in what my listeners may be thinking is available for them. And we can edit this out if you do not want to
You
answer
want to
this
know my age?
question. I want to know,
Okay.
I know your age. I want
Okay.
them to know.
Okay. I don't usually share it freely. I hate getting old. When I was 18, I said I never want to get older than 18, which I don't say anymore, but I'm 67 and a half. My birthday is at the end of December, so I'll be 68. So yeah. To
You're
me it's very
amazing.
important to stay fit. It's not so much staying young, it's the fitness,
Mhm.
mental acuity. To me is very, very important. My mother-in-law had Alzheimer's for a very long time. My dad had Parkinson's. For me it's super, super important that I push forward, I carry on, because sometimes we can't avoid those aging diseases. we're predisposed. I've not had the genetic testing done. I don't want to do it because I
Not
just
available for it.
no, no, and I just want
No.
to just go, and
Mhm.
that's why I have started to embrace that idea that every day is really precious, and I need to just move forward and do the best I can with what I have uh, at this time. So,
You are 100% doing the best you can with what you
okay,
have,
good.
ma'am. Yeah. Yeah. Check that box, please.
Okay, great. I'll check
You're
that box for
doing
you
the
today.
best I can with what you have. Like, you're unbelievable. And I appreciate you answering the question. I appreciate the opportunity to celebrate and to just have gratitude. Thank you for showing us what's possible for
You're
us.
very
Because
welcome.
I I will live to be 100 plus, and I I just I'm grateful for the women that I'm meeting that are strong in spirit, strong in mind, strong in body, strong in faith, strong in knowing, strong in practice, strong in presence. And it's beautiful. My listeners know this is how you know I'm not lying.
Okay, I
I'm
know you're
fine.
not lying. I can
I'm
tell.
not lying. Yes. Um, and it's just, it every day we have opportunities. We have thousands of opportunities to be really present. And when I have the opportunity to have a conversation like this with somebody who is just so available for herself, it's beautiful to witness, but it's beautiful to be in the energy of, and to feel the connection, because those are all shared values that I
Mhm.
have as well. So I appreciate your time. I appreciate your commitment to yourself.
Yeah, and it's a commitment to myself for sure. And if I'm well, then other people will be well as well. And if I can be a role model, and maybe that's my teaching background,
Yes.
we lead by example, we motivate people by example, then that's something that always sticks with me. When I started my teaching training, it was always it's about motivation. It's not about teaching, it's about motivation.
Mm,
And that's always there. That little voice is in the back
sure.
of my mind. And so yeah, and it means a lot to me when people are touched by what I've done, because then I know I'm doing the right thing. I don't usually go and ask people outright,
Sure.
and yeah, and until, a couple of years ago, I wouldn't share so freely. And I didn't, I mean, I didn't let my hair go white until about 3 years ago. And it was just the worst thing for me to let my hair go white. Oh my God, because I
Ah,
started going gray at 23, and I did everything in my power to hide that, because I was, oh, I can't do that. But I can't bother anymore with getting my hair dyed,
right.
and getting all that's too much wasted time and money. So now for me, it's much more important that if I need a little bit of extra money for new hiking boots, well, that money's going toward hiking boots. So, and it's my focus and my needs have really shifted, and
Mm,
so and that is since I've moved to Nova Scotia, which will be 4 years in October. So yeah, it's a total mindset shift, a total uh yeah, I can be myself, and I am myself.
yes, you are.
Yeah, I try anyways. So
You're doing a great job. And I love that the things that you are doing, the hiking, I am inspired by your story, and I am inspired by the woman that you are. And I have zero desire to hike for any, I mean, I will hike from 5-star resort to 5-star resort, because I don't, I'll work for it during the middle, but
Yeah.
I'm not available. I'm not
Yeah.
sleeping in a tent, and I'm not carrying my own stuff.
And,
And
and you, and
that's just,
Wendy, never say
yeah.
never, because
Well,
when I
right.
was your age, when I was just a young whippersnapper, I said exactly the same.
Okay, perfect.
You'll
I'm
come
a
and get me to do this. Are you crazy? Yeah, so there you go.
I love I'm available for the up level at any time,
Okay,
but I
good.
do also love that we can be inspired by so many
Yeah,
people and not even have a desire to do the thing that they're doing, but we're
yeah.
just inspired by their dedication, their commitment. Again, my dear, beautiful friend Sharon had an experience in on a vacation in Morocco and stayed at this beautiful riad, and there was an affirmation in her coffee cup on a piece of paper every morning of her stay there. But on, I believe, the first morning, it read, "My commitment to myself is real." And that became such a transformative mantra for
Mhm.
herself. And when she said it to me, I had the full body chills and said, hold on, I need to write that down. So I wrote that down. And ever since I wrote that down, as I am in conversation with women like you, like Sharon, like me, that are doing the things that are in our hearts that happen to be in service and in contribution to other people as well, but to us first. And to, I am just energetically colliding with so many people who share that knowledge that my commitment to myself is real. And
Exactly.
it is not an apology, it's my inhale and exhale. And it's so beautiful, it's so impactful, and the ripple effects of that commitment go beyond anything that you'll ever know. And what you do know is more than enough to continue on that path. It's really beautiful.
Thank you. And I think we gravitate, so the more life experience we gain and accumulate, I think we're just drawn to those people. So there's no more that sniffing around and, oh, is this person kind of on my wavelength? You just know, like
That's right.
you were saying, like Sylvia and I, and then today I feel the same way about you,
Totally.
you and I. And so I think that's really important. And I should really give a shout out to the people that really kind of put me on the map last year, and that's the team from Keep Your Daydream. And Trisha Leach reached out to me to book a ocean floor tour. I had no idea they were travel influencers until the following week when they launched a video of their experience with me. And after that, my business just snowballed, and I was getting booking after booking after booking. And I get amazing people through them, amazing clients that come because of their program. They have a YouTube channel, and it's just called Keep Your Daydream. If you want to edit it out because it doesn't belong here. But I
Oh, no,
do
no, no. Of
feel
course.
that
We
I
promote everybody
good.
here.
That's what I
Yes.
figured. Yeah, so I
Rising
wasn't
tides
hesitating.
raise all ships.
Yeah. And Trisha would be another amazing person for you to maybe have on the podcast
Yes,
because
yes.
she's super enthusiastic. She has her own spices line and herbs.
Hmm.
She creates recipes. They're amazing. Her and her husband travel in an Airstream trailer and just do what they love to do. And so I really, this is my opportunity to give that shout out officially to them. I've sent them little notes and said thank you for the opportunity, because I had no idea they were travel influencers. They booked me just like anybody else, and they paid the fee. They did everything, and then all of a sudden, I'm realizing when my friends said, "Oh, they're travel influencers," I'm like, "What? I didn't even know such a thing." existed at the time. So this is how green I am to the scene. But yeah, no, Trisha was amazing, super natural and encouraging. We did a hike together, just the two of us before they left. And it was just a wonderful experience. And I feel the doors open more and more after
Mm.
I connected with them as well. And so that's, yeah, I have that. I now have more courage to do things on my own, not ask around so much, not wait around for others. If somebody wants to join me, great. But if you don't, well, sorry, I haven't got time to waste. I'm not getting any younger. So
Oh my gosh, I love it. And I have loved this conversation. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your generosity. It's so beautiful. I cannot wait to play with you. It's going to be really
great.
fun.
Come and see
Tell,
me.
I will tell everyone where they can find and follow you.
Okay, well, my website is parsboroughshoretours.ca. I have a blog that you can access through the website. So just go to the website. If you just want to go play around on my blog, there is a hike index that I've put together of the area that's free to access. And the website there is called fundycontemplations.ca. So I've been blogging for 3 years and every day. And then I just at the 1st of June last, I started with a newsletter. So I'm doing a monthly newsletter and the occasional blog post because I'm getting so busy. But yeah, so
Right.
that's pretty much where you find me, Facebook and Instagram, Tide Rollers and Mudlarkers. Just look for that and follow my page. I would love to have a few more followers because I don't have a lot. So I don't promote
Okay.
enough.
Well, we're all doing the best we can with the
Yeah,
tools we have, but
that's right.
we'll link everything down below in the show notes. And I'm sure that you will be hearing from listeners because this just sounds absolutely dreamy and amazing. And I cannot wait.
Great. And I answer every single email. So go ahead and fire away. Easiest to get me is Anna Hergert at me.com. So just one word, Anna Hergert. So if you put that on there, then people can get a hold of me.
We certainly will. Thank you
Good.
so much for being here. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's lovely to meet you. Happy Independence Day. You gave
Thank
up some
you.
time on your special holidays. Thank you very much.
Of course, anytime. I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. As always, any links or notes mentioned can be found at phineaswrighthouse.com in the podcast section of our site or in the show notes below. And if you haven't connected with me personally, come find me on Instagram at Phineas Wrighthouse and let me know you listened to this episode. I'd love to get to know you. Thank you for sharing this time with me. I know your days are full, and I'm really grateful that you chose to spend some of your precious time right here. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any of these delightful conversations. I'll see you next week.